Hello, hello, hello. Here we are again doing other stuff than planned. Who would have guessed that something else just slides in and occupies some time on this channel? But it's a wonderful thing that happened because we are going to talk about Toshiaki Toyoda and his two new movies. One is called Transcending Dimensions. And the other one is called Soyu Mono ni watashi wa naritai. The English title, or the in Romanic letters written title on Letterboxd is wrong. Someone misspelled it. Anyway, it's like I want to be something like that. Yeah. And to talk about these two movies, we've got to talk about way more of his movies because they are part of a quite long-running series. And a part of those movies are or have been available. I will check that if they're still probably not, because at Third Window Films they made these two wonderful editions. These are his first few movies. This box has been out of print for quite some time. This one, I'm not sure. Probably it's out of print. I will check that later. But here we actually have some of the movies that we're going to talk about today. So I will just put that here as long as we're going to talk about the little bit older stuff. Maybe a few words about his career and so on, and who he is, because he's quite a famous director, because I would say he part of the reasons he got popular around the early 2000s. His debut film, I'm not sure how much YouTube likes the original title, which has some connotation with adult videos. So let's use the English official American title as Tokyo Rampage, which is a terrible title. That was made in 1998, and I remember in the early 2000s when the big Japan movie boom with him, Shion Sono, Takashi Miike, Sabu, and all these directors. Kiyoshi Kurosawa was part of that too. When this got big, I remember seeing that DVD in Germany in many shops, and somehow I never bought it. Always looked like an interesting movie, but somehow I ended up not buying it, and I'm not sure why. I saw it much later, and it's amazing. It's a absolutely fantastic movie, and interesting, it's the debut movie of Kiyohiko Shibukawa, who has been in every Toyoda movie except for his, I think, third movie. That's a documentary, a second movie, documentary called Unchained about a boxer. And that's the only one that doesn't feature Mr. Shibukawa. And he will be very important for the movies that we talk about today, because he plays a prominent role in almost all of them. And he went on to make some other movies. I guess the most famous would be Blue Spring. Very amazing movie, which features Ryuhei Matsuda. I'm not sure, is it his first role, or let's see. No, it's not his first movie, but one of the earliest. It seems his first role was in Taboo or Gohato by the wonderful Nagisa Oshima. Anyway, so one of his early movies, and absolutely gorgeous, and one of the movies that got a lot of praise, and I still haven't watched this on the second box set. That's called Hanging Garden. And around that time, Mr. Toyoda got in a little bit of trouble with the police. He was arrested for the possession of marijuana, which is even now still a very big thing in Japan. And you can get in a lot of trouble, especially if you're somehow in the entertainment industry, and it can cost you your career. So at that time, he said in an interview, the authorities were very, very strict about such things, and tried to show how strict they are and how serious they take this big issue. And seemingly several people got arrested around that time. And it took him like 4 years. That happened in 2005. It caused some trouble with the release of Hanging Garden, and took him like 4 years until his next movie, The Blood of Rebirth, was finally made. And seemingly he got back on track. He made a movie called Monsters Club. He made I Am Flesh, a relatively big mainstream movie, A Crows Explode, basically the sequel to the Crows Zero movies that Takashi Miike made. And I remember at that time I wasn't aware that he's the director, and I watched this movie and I felt like, it's kind of the same what Miike did, but everything was more grounded and realistic, and that's not what I wanted the Crows movies to be, because they're very over-the-top silliness, and I have to rewatch it again, because nowadays I understand his style much better. It's much, much simpler than many other filmmakers. It's very often slow, clear moves, a lot of slow motion, a very deliberate filmmaking, but with a lot of impact, very high tension. It's very interesting how he works with very resourceful camera movements and stuff, and still gets such impact. And that's something we will talk about today, because some of the movies that he made in recent years consist of mostly like 2 shots and a lot of slow-mo and a lot of angriness, and they're really, really intense, and that's great. So one of his trademark things is like I said, this very deliberate camera style with long shots, and the combination with music. I would say that's something that works very well in his movies. And he has some kind of color grading that just works, that makes you feel, okay, this is a Toyoda film. Like, you can immediately understand a Takashi Miike film, even though he makes completely different movies all the time, Miike. And they have sometimes almost nothing in common. Somehow you look at them and you feel, okay, this looks like a Miike movie. And same here. So you look at it and it feels like, okay, this is a Toyoda movie. It's a very recognizable style, even though it's, like I said, relatively simple with the newer movies, because these are independent productions. He must be even more resourceful. Like, his first movies were always like studio films. He got some money to make them, and he was like, I need a crane here. Let's get a crane. And nowadays he's like, I would love to have a crane here, but no money, no time. We can't do that. We have to work a little bit more basic, and it works perfectly well. So his newer movies all look absolutely amazingly wonderful, and they're all very audio-visual experience, and I think that's another thing that we need to remember. It's more about the experience than about the story or things like that. And then he made another movie that was called The Miracle of Crybaby Shotan, about a shogi player, and that's interesting, with his own biography, because when he was young, he actually tried to become a professional shogi player. And it's a very good movie about a guy who tries, like himself, to become a professional shogi player, but there is like a age limit. If you cross that limit, you can't become a professional player anymore. And that was basically the player who broke, or who made them break these rules and change it and make it more accessible for players. And it's a very, very good movie. Then he made another documentary that's called The Planetist. I haven't seen that one yet. And another problem around that time, he got in some more legal trouble after Shotan. I think Planetist actually came for Shotan, and then he made that one. And again, around the release, there was another incident. I think the story goes like the police got a hint that he was in possession of drugs again, and they called the media. So like, hey, we're having an arrest, let's go. And so the media came, and basically the police goes in and they don't find anything. So it would be quite a disappointment if you actually call the media to report and then there's nothing to report. But they found an old pistol, like a Second World War pistol, that belonged to his grandfather, and he kept it as a, like, just, what is it called? I forgot the word. Anyway, to remember his grandfather, basically. And it's all rusty and not usable at all. But the police was like, that looks a bit funny. And he said in an interview that the police officer who found it was like, we can't really arrest you for that, but let me check. And someone said, we have to arrest you. And they seemingly kept him for a few days. And he was released because it's an unusable gun, so no problem. But he got in trouble again. It was again much harder to work as a director, so he started to put his frustrations and things into a short movie that's called Wolf's Calling. It's on that DVD set. It's a short movie, like 17 minutes. And this now marks the beginning of our series that we're going to talk about. This is all about some wolf cult, some religion based on wolves on a mountain. There's a mysterious shrine or temple. Here it says a shrine in the mountains where they pray to the wolf god or something like that. And that's basically what all the movies are more or less around. It's a very spiritual series, and not always clear what he wants to say. Like I said, it's more about the experience than than understanding a story. It's more about a feeling. They very often look like music videos. So even with his newest movie, Transcending Dimensions, I listened to a wonderful German podcast that's called A Schöner Denken. So that's like more beautiful thinking. And one of them said he just didn't pay any attention to the subtitles. He was just like, let's just enjoy it as a music video. Yeah. And for most of the movies that works very well. Transcending Dimension, I think, even though it's maybe pointless or not as important to really try to decipher. I'm not sure if there is actually anything to decipher or just a lot of things that he threw in there and was like, make up your own mind. I went to a screening where they had a little Q&A and talk event where he was like, make up your own mind, make your own story from what you get. It's just a movie and you make everything else. And that's basically the point for the whole series. And I think with a lot of spiritual things, it's pretty much like that. Like you get some things and then the rest you make in your mind. So a lot of this religion is based on shugendo, and there's a conch shell, like a trumpet shell, that they like to blow. This sound will come a lot, and there's a lot about pinkies, which, funnily enough, he said in an interview, isn't even a deep thing. It's just a funny thing because in his career as a shogi player, he met many people with who were missing a pinky, and not just Yakuza have that issue. And now I want to know why shogi players don't have pinkies. It's a big mystery for me now. Yeah, that's another thing. And usually when they use their magic, they do it like this. Always like the finger. So there's a lot of fingering in these movies. But this first one, Wolf's Calling from 2019, isn't all that spiritual yet. Here we have a lady in her house and she finds a box, and in that box is an old pistol, and then we see a little bit of the story of that pistol, where we have a lot of fantastic actors in like samurai costumes, and they just team up in front of a shrine and get ready to fight, and everything is very slow with extremely intense music and wonderful, looks amazingly. And you have a great cast. Of course, you have Kiyohiko Shibukawa, you have Tadanobu Asano, you have Ryuhei Masuda, you have Kengo Koda, Tatsuya Nakamura. All this is very charismatic, cool people being cool. Tadanobu Asano has like a colorful paper ball that he plays with, and they're all just badass and cool looking. And that's basically it. They just get ready to a fight, and then we get back to that lady in the present day and playing around with that gun. And that's all. So here, the first 3 movies of the series, he feels like it's more government criticism. They're very, very straightforward against the government. I mean, for this one, you need to understand his personal story to understand his feeling about this gun, and it's just something for the memories. It's nothing special, but there is some wild, adventurous story behind it, and that's very well illustrated here, and it's a very nice, short movie. The second one on that box too, I saw it first at the Nippon Connection, a wonderful film festival in Germany. At that time, that was 2020. You might remember there was a big worldwide issue that forced most people to stay home, and that's why the Nippon Connection was online, and I could even watch that movie from Japan. And the movie is called Hakai no Hi, The Day of Destruction. It's a little bit longer. This is like 57 minutes. We have Kiyohiko Shibukawa now in a recurring role. Like in the first movie, of course, that was set in the past. Here, the first time he plays a role that will come back in almost every of the coming movies. That's the character Teppei, and he's a kind of priest of this religion, and he practices it, and he has some kind of magic ability. Yeah, and here he follows a bit character played by Mahi to the People, the singer of the punk band. I mean, they broke out of the relatively strict punk context to something much bigger, much wilder, much crazier. But the band name is Gesan, and they made part of the soundtrack, and the soundtrack is so good. Another band that comes up here is Mars 89 and the Seppuku Pistols, and they are like recurring collaborators on all these movies and make amazing soundtracks. And he plays here a character who is very mad and angry at the world and at the state of the world, and believes with his magic powers he just needs to destroy everything and to change the world, basically. The movie starts with like black and white scene where Ryuhei Matsuda goes into some kind of a mine and sees a monster that's the cause for a worldwide disease. And then we have one of the band's songs that's a very, very angry piece of music, complaining about all the issues in the world, of course, including COVID and the treatment by the government of that issue. But it's more a general government criticism. And we see cruise ships. That's probably the Diamond Princess, basically the ship that brought the first famous cases to Japan, and was a big thing back in the day. So this is very, very much fixed to the COVID situation. It's a lot of anger and screaming and shouting, and there's kind of a plot like this. Mahi to the People character loses basically his mind or gets off the right way when his sister died, and he just wants to destroy stuff, and people try to stop him. Interesting, this Ryuhei Matsuda character, the director himself said can be seen as his same character in I Am Flesh, his like older movie. I haven't seen that one yet. And the same as in Transcending Dimensions. So same as Shibukawa's character who comes back. In that case, he said it's the same character, but not necessarily the same person. Like, he's not 100% sure how to treat it, but he likes the idea of like a multi-dimensional thing. So it's the same, but kind of different. Maybe makes sense because it feels like they all are a little bit different and not very coherent, and this disease was never mentioned in the other movies, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's like doesn't make that much sense. But it's very interesting how this character is treated, especially in Transcending Dimensions, where he's completely reduced to a comedy character, and it's super funny, super good. There's some stuff going on that's just wonderful. Yeah, and this movie, while it has a relatively clear idea what it wants to say, and it has a plot that's relatively easy to follow, it still has some elements where you're, what? It's still a bit off from a traditional, conventional movie, but it's just intense and wonderful and glorious. And there's one scene where our bad guy is completely drenched in like red color, maybe blood, who knows now, and he's just walking around Shibuya, and I'm pretty sure the people around have no idea what's going on. They just see this guy drenched in red, screaming and completely like going crazy on the crossing, like the big scramble, Shibuya scramble, I guess it is, and they just look at him, holy cow, what's wrong with him? I mean, they obviously can see that there's someone with a camera and they're filming something, but Yeah, they're a little. I don't want to get involved in that. Yeah, but pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. I think they even made some big events that was officially a demonstration where they had like live music on the street and stuff. It was a pretty big thing back in the days, and very interesting, very good, very nice. Yeah, sticks a bit out with all this disease context, but still has the same religion, the same like kind of magical powers. It has this whole idea of what can you do now. Toyoda said something in the Q&A where I was they talked about like people need to tune their mind and maybe see several ideas, several opinions to make the world better or to change something. Just with being angry, you won't achieve anything, I think. Something like that. And this would fit this movie quite well, I guess. Yeah, with just anger and destruction, you won't change things. It's very good. Interesting here in this movie with Yusuke Kubozuka, who was at that Q&A event too, and he lost his shoe on the way to the stage. The stairs seemingly are the steepest and most dangerous in all of Osaka, and yeah, he lost his shoe. It looked for a moment like he would fall down, and a funny guy, a very deep voice. Oh, yeah. Anyway, he's in this movie and he's part of that religion, and he's another religious character in Transcending Dimensions, but I think he's not the same. So, according at least to Letterboxd, his character in Day of Destruction has a different name. So I wouldn't really 100% match, not like Teppei, who's just a little bit nuances are different, but this one seems more different. So I guess, sadly, this isn't a continuation, but that's no problem. He's just there and does some stuff. And the funny thing is, he's the same as Matsuda. They're like in the movie introduced as if they are really, really important characters in this bigger story, but then they don't really do anything. It's really weird. Like, this movie starts some things and doesn't really follow up. Like, Ryuhei Matsuda goes into this cave, sees the monster. I mean, it fulfills the function that we know there's a monster, and it fulfills the function that we see that Teppei, so Shibukawa's character, is like kind of the guard of that, and he's somehow connected to this whole thing, but doesn't really do anything later. A funny detail here, Shibukawa drives Toyota Corona, and it comes back in Transcending Dimensions, so same car. So at least there's some connection to this movie, even though they don't really. I mean, look, how many people talk about COVID anymore? Not that many, so maybe it's just realistic that you just try to forget and erase the memory of all these things. Maybe it's better. I don't know. Maybe it's not better, but yeah. Anyway, so this is a very, very, very good, interesting part of the series. And then we have a movie where I really don't like the English title. We have Zenin Seppuku. So everybody Seppuku, and the English title, I understand where it comes from. It's called Go Seppuku Yourselves, and like go yourselves. Okay, I get the idea. I'm maybe a little bit too pedantic, but first, seppuku is a noun, and Second, who else would I seppuku if not myself? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I can't seppuku other people because that would be murder and not seppuku. So I have some pedantic issues with that title. I get the idea. It makes somehow sense in the context of the movie, but I really don't like it. I'm very sorry. Yeah, and this is another more period piece, so it's maybe more connected to Wolf's Calling. And we have again Kiyohiko Shibukawa in a different role. Here he's some kind of samurai, and we have again Yosuke Kubozuka as a samurai. So this is a little bit different, and here it's still connected to this disease thing. Here, I think she's a prostitute, goes to the well and poisons it by cutting off her finger and throwing it in there. The pinky, the cut off pinky. So maybe she's a shogi player actually. So the wells have been poisoned and the government is blaming everyone and just executing people. And yeah, one of them is then this samurai played by Kobuzaka, and it ends in a big like seppuku scene. If you don't know seppuku, it's like yeah, like that. And yeah, it's a fantastic, intense movie. It's very simple, very easy to understand. You immediately get what's going on here, so there's not much to say about it. It's all about the experience and the pure intensity, especially Kubozuka's acting here when he cuts around in his little belly. And yeah, great guy. Not so much to say about this anymore. So these are the movies that are included in this wonderful box set. These are basically the first 3 of this series, and they're all very, very amazing. And then we have another series of short movies that basically in the end became this one. Yeah, this is the aforementioned Soyu Mono ni Watashi wa naritai. So I want to be like that. Yeah, and it's a very, very beautiful movie, and this one is basically the collection of the next few short movies that Toyoda did, and he had some ideas, but here it's all around this monk Teppei who is doing his training to get some like spiritual enlightenment or something, and yeah, to hone his skills, the magicals. It's very interesting. They're all very short films and they're all very intense. There's a lot of very hard walking. That's a thing in his movies in general. People with super intense music walk, preferably in slow motion. And yeah, if that sounds good to you, you will love these movies. They're really, really interesting. The first 2 basically consist of 2 scenes each. The third one is a little bit more complex. And yeah, let's start with Ikiteiru, so Alive. That came together in 2022 when like basically the whole COVID thing was more or less survived, and Toyoda mailed his friends and was like, hey, you're still alive? And they're, yep, still alive. And there was the basic idea of this movie, and it's fantastic. Like, Shibukawa in his very rope around his belly, a rope around his shoulders, and this tiny cloth around his balls. And so basically he walks up the stairs in slow-mo, very intense music. Everything is maximum, and there's not much going on except for walking really hard, and it's kind of funny. So the good thing is all these newer movies, at least, they're pretty funny, not all that angry, more on the there's still some anger in there, but it's pretty hilarious. Basically he goes up the stairs, goes to a shrine where there are some other people who belong to the shrine, and he just throws around the sake, takes the drumsticks away from someone and bangs the taiko, and just causes trouble. And when people try to stop him, he starts to shout that he's alive, and then we get the title and the credits, and in between the credits we see him, and suddenly all the other people who follow him walking around at night with what is it called? Stick? Fire? I forgot the word. You know what I mean. In German we say a Fackel, but I forgot. You understand. Stick, fire, cool at night. You can see things. Makes you see stuff. And that's, intercut with the credits, just more people walking really intensely. And that's the whole movie. Yeah. So just a statement, still alive, still kicking ass, and having fun. So that's wonderful. Second one is called I'm Here. And this came together because Kiyohiko Shibukawa, it's not that funny, but the conclusion is quite funny. He was scared that he might have cancer, and it turned out to just be a big wart and nothing else. But yeah, he was really terrified and kind of scared and just freaked out. And then he was Toyoda was let's make a movie, a statement. I'm here. I will stay forever. I will never go away. So maybe just more of this I'm alive idea. And here it's visualized by him meditating under a waterfall. And some people can try to get him out, and it's all in slow motion again. It's a big, fighting, basically. Just wet people being wet and screaming, I'm here, I'm here. I'm not gonna go away. And for me, this is the weakest one in this trilogy. But it's still pretty cool, and the better part is here, the part in the credits, because then he's meditating in a shrine, and which first looks amazing because of his clothing. It's really, really elegant and cool. It's a nice chosen framing, and sometimes there's just this big bug that flies around him, and we actually get the big bug sounds, and I just love the bugs. So that makes it a little bit better. But I would say, because of the way they shot the first part in the waterfall, which is very close to him for my taste, a little bit too close, very focused on his wet body, which makes him look really interesting, and it makes him look big and strong, but it's visually less interesting than the others. So for me, the weakest part of these three, but still good. And it's 18 minutes long, so these are all not short for having two shots, basically. Yeah, so quite a thing. So the third one is called a Sugu ni yuku. I'm not sure why there's no English title yet. It means something like gotta go soon. Or gonna go soon. And yeah, it's basically it's the longest one. I'm not sure how long it actually is. So this is like 33 minutes long. So it's by far the longest. It's by far the most complex. It's the funniest. It's the best. And here on the back, you can see him here. This is his way of walking. He basically has these like wooden shoes on his hands, and he makes a few steps, claps like 1, 2, 3, and then goes flat on the ground, claps again, gets up, walks few steps, clap, 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 goes down, clap, clap, goes up. So his preferred method of walking really hard is very, very, very tiresome and hard, and you watch that most of the time in different settings, so at least you have some more things to see and see nature around him. It's very gorgeous. Sometimes he gets a little bit interrupted by people who think he's crazy, and that's another thing in all these movies, like what these spiritual people do makes him look really, really crazy. Like in reality, very often you just think like that's complete bollocks what you're doing and what's going on. But here, on top of it, it somehow works, and they actually have some mystical power. So he uses it to throw those people around if they distract him, and they say, go away, and they... and they're all confused. And yeah, he just goes around and meditates and imitates some statues with funny facial expressions and stuff. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. And in the end, we see actually a result of his training. So, good stuff. Very beautifully shot. Like I said, the longest, most complex thing here in the story. And then as an extra for this like feature film edition, we get a poem at the end about this idea what you want to be in life. And basically Toyoda gets to the conclusion that he wants to give his life to the movie gods, basically. And yeah, it's very beautiful. It's not a conventional like movie in that sense. It's yeah, in my Letterboxd review I wrote angry slow-mo Kiyohiko Shirokawa punk rock meditation clip collection, and I still think that's a pretty good description of what's going on here. So if you demand some explanation or some kind of plot or something, you're completely wrong here. It's just an experience. You can let your mind go wherever you want, wherever this movie takes you. Just enjoy the visuals, enjoy the anger, enjoy the music. It's yeah, depending on what you want from a movie, it can be absolutely amazing, or it can be like the worst thing you've ever seen. I'm not sure how much the people in the cinema enjoyed it. I liked it very much. I think it's a very good one. And yeah, like I said here, Shirokawa plays this character of Teppei, who seems to be a quite competent monk in his training. So it's very fun when we see him again in Transcending Dimensions as this very silly comedy character. And in this movie, Transcending Dimensions, let's switch the decoration one last time. So yeah, in this movie, Transcending Dimensions, Teppei is paired with another monk who's played by Danko Ida, who has been in some of the other movies too. And he's kind of a partner for Toyoda in his work. He's his neighbor. He helps him in almost any other aspect of his work. He's part of the crew. He gives him ideas, and really, really cool. And he's a very fun actor here in some smaller roles. Transcending Dimensions. Oh, I forgot one important thing about the last part here, Sugu ni yuku. It was shot because, like, the first half of Transcending Dimensions was filmed, and Toyoda ran out of money. He couldn't finish filming, and one of his friends went on a tour, like around Japan, some traveling. So he was like, yeah, let's go, let's join. And he has this shell, and he's playing that in some places, and they went to some shrine and played it there, and the people there were like, hey, from now on, the days are getting longer again, and everything will be fine. And everything became fine. He got the funds to finance the second half of the shooting of Transcending Dimensions. It worked out well. It became a wonderful movie. So, as a thank you basically for this wonderful experience in that shrine, he went there and shot this film basically. So, that happened like in the middle of Transcending Dimensions. So, this movie just got released 2025, same as Soyu Mono Watashi wa Soyu Mono ni Watashi wa naritai. Same this year, like the feature version got released. It plays very, very few cinemas in Japan, so I think there was one in Tokyo, one in Kobe, and now there's one more, and I'm not sure if they played anywhere else. It's not probably the movie that goes around big scale, but Transcending Dimensions plays quite a lot of cinemas, and I watched it twice, and the second time when there was the director and Mr. Kobuzuka, it was almost sold out, and they did 2 Q&As in a row, so the second one was pretty full too last time I checked, so it seems to at least get some more attention than the other movie, which is understandable. First, more famous cast and closer to a normal movie than the other one. Still pretty far off. I would say in certain regard, you can compare some aspects to David Lynch. Like, in a way, it's kind of surreal. It's not clear what they want to say, and they just leave it open and say, you make up your mind. Whatever you understand is the correct interpretation for you. And so I will not try to interpret this movie. It's no, thank you. And another thing is, in this seemingly very serious, deep spiritual thing, you just have a lot of silliness and fun and a good time. And a small man dressed in red. Because why not? So, it's a very entertaining movie. Don't get that wrong. Even though it's a little bit more challenging than most other movies. Let's say it like that. But I guess nobody will watch it and be like, probably a lot of people will be like, but I don't know. It's something you watch and makes kind of sense. And then you watch it again and maybe it makes more sense. But that's good enough. So it's a very adventure. It's an adventure. But if you enjoy some kind of mystery movies where you have to use your brain and getting entertained at the same time, then this one is for you. And Toyoda himself said, seemingly at a festival last year, maybe it was Rotterdam, where the movie had its premiere, that it could maybe be his last movie, but with his dedication to cinema in the other one, I'm not sure. Maybe he already changed his mind. I hope so. I think at the Q&A, he said something like that again, but let's see, let's find out. I hope he makes way more movies, because this shouldn't be the end of such a fantastic director. He still has a lot of stuff in him, I would guess. And I read an interview here in the Kinema Jumpo with him and I think it was Kubuzuka, who said something like, you still have a couple of years until you're 60. We can make more movies together in that time. So let's hope there will be more. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk a little bit more about the cast. Like I said, we have Yosuke Kubozuka, who is a regular for Toyoda. He was, like I said, in Monsters Club. He was in Day of Destruction. He was here in Go Seppuku Yourselves. And was it? That's all? That's all, I guess. But yeah, like last couple of movies, regular guests. Then we have Ryuhei Matsuda. Like I said, came already in Nine Souls and Blue Spring. So another regular. And I think Toyoda said something like he's his guy who he puts in movies where he plays some character who just can never die. And yeah, that's important for him to put a character in that. So maybe he needs that as some kind of fixture. He needs a character he can believe in or something like that. So I forgot the details, but yeah, that's quite funny. So yeah, you might have seen him, for example, in The Raid 2. You might have heard him in Isle of Dogs. But yeah, he did a lot of great movies and always looks a little bit like he's falling asleep. And of course, you might know his daddy, who is of course Yusaku Matsuda. Blanked here on his name for a moment. Super famous, influential actor. Yeah, some manga characters like Kenshiro or Spike Spiegel are based on him. Yeah, he is just a pop culture icon, died way too early, but yeah, you might have seen him in like The Most Dangerous Game, or The Killing Game, or The Resurrection of Golden Wolf, or Execution Game, or The Beast to Die, Yokohama BJ Blues, Family Game. A lot of these movies are getting recently released by Radiance Films, and that's very, very good. And yeah, wonderful actor. Both a father and son, wonderful actors. And then here we have basically the guy who completely steals the show. That's Chihara Jr. And he was, for example, in the Tokyo Rampage. He was in Nine Souls. He was in the prequel of Ichi the Killer. I think that's on YouTube probably. It's called Ichi Origin. Yeah, and he was in some direct-to-video movies. He didn't do all that much, seemingly, but he is so fantastic in this movie. Like every scene he's in, he completely steals the show, and he's the king of everything. Fantastic guy. Completely over the top, smoking fingers and stuff like that. Yeah, and then we have Haruka Imo. You might know her from All the Long Nights, but she was already in Go Seppuku Yourself. She was in A Janitor. You know here my homie Yugo Sakamoto. And she was in the wonderful Kamen Rider Black Sun, which you still should watch. Yeah, she was in Dare to Stop Us too. Wonderful. Does a good job. Like as usual. Of course, we have Kiyohiko Shibukawa as Teppei. He was in every movie ever made, like since his debut in Tokyo Rampage. And since then he made like 160 movies or so. You have definitely seen him. We have Masahiro Higashide, who got in some trouble for cheating on his wife, and here he plays another character who is in some kind of trouble and seeks a spiritual help from Chihara Jr. And he worked with Toyoda before as well in Crows Explode. But you might know him from Asako 1 and 2 or Creepy or Wife of a Spy or quite recently Demon City. I still think Demon City is a very good movie. You should watch it. Then we have Itsuji Itao. Is one of those faces that you have probably seen. He worked with Toyoda quite some time. He was in Hanging Garden or The Blood of Rebirth and I Am Flesh and some other stuff. And yeah, just a very like familiar looking face. He does a lot of smaller roles. But very interesting. And in this movie, he wears a terrible no mask necktie that he wears wrong because the back of the necktie is longer than the front. And it's just ridiculous. And this character he plays is a scientist based on a doctor where Toyoda went, and he's actually the reason why this movie came together. Seemingly he asked this doctor like, hey, I want to do a science fiction movie, but I can't really finance big stuff, so what should I do? And he was like, just transcend dimensions. And that was a start. So as a like homage to this doctor, he put this character in there, and wonderful. And while we're already talking about the Doctor and how this movie came together, he actually sees quite some connection between like spirituality and AI and technology and these things, and that's how this for him makes sense to put together. Here, they try to figure out the effects of spirituality on the brain and how that works by AI, and some people, I think, were surprised about this connection, like spiritual stuff and technology, but kind of makes sense. Why not? Cool. I like it. And then we have Kirara Inori, who was, for example, in Happy Hour or Happy End, or It's a Summer Film, a lovely actress. Not all that busy, seemingly, according to a letterbox, which is always dangerous. Let's take a look. Oh, she's a little bit more busy. She does a lot of TV. Yeah, but a very good actress. Very nice. Then, as mentioned, we have Danko Ida, who's usually in movies by Toyoda. And we have Mame Yamada, who plays the small man because he's very small, and is another very memorable face that you might have seen in stuff like Blue Spring or Tokyo Gore Police, Imprint, Strange Circus, Nine Souls, Zebra Man 2, great movie. Did some stuff with Toyoda. He worked before like Blue Spring, Nine Souls, and A Blood of Rebirth, so recurring presence here. So let's talk a little bit about the story of Transcending Dimensions. Basically, we have a professional killer played by Ryuhei Matsuda who gets sent to some shrine where Chihara Jr. is the boss by a lady who goes there with him, and she's like, hey, my brother got dragged into this religion, and now he's kind of gone, and please kill this cult leader. Similarity to I Am Flesh, seemingly, which is based around a cult leader as well. And he goes to this ceremony where one person, that's Masahiro Higashide, he feels like, oh, my life is basically over, what can I do? And we get a speech by Chihara Jr.'s character, where he says, hey, you make your story. And that's what Toyoda said about you, like the audience, about this movie. You make the story. So that's a very central element here. And basically he's like, hey, if we cut off your pinky, you can travel space into the universe and stuff. And he gets this like cutting machine and does terrible things. At the same time, there's Kiyohiko Shibukawa's character who's there with on a mission with his priest, a monk friend, to find out what's going on here. He's not very pleased, and there's a hilarious scene where he is suddenly like, oh, I better go to the toilet, and he just wanders off and he sees this room with glasses full of pinkies, and when he finally arrives at the toilet, there's a naked lady who's like, oh no, come in, and then she sits down next to the toilet and wants him to go there, and just I don't know, it doesn't make much sense. It's just something that happens. It's wonderful. And so they all go off. Teppei, our lovely monk, suddenly has an accident, so he wants revenge. Basically, he wants to stop him. And Ryuhei Matsuda's character gets like this mission, hey, kill this guy. And the lady who gives him the mission basically lays down on the tracks of the train and is gone, which is a quite intense scene. And then like after 30-40 minutes or something, we get the fantastic title sequence. I think like Matsuda's character gets one of the horns and blows it, and the camera goes in and goes to space, where we see a pinky shaped spaceship, which is kind of a joke, and goes to the planet Kelman, where the Kelman lives. That's the small man, and in the ship is Yosuke Kubozuka's character, basically praying and having a trip through the universe. And it's very, very trippy with wonderful music, with I think it's probably saxophone or something, but very amazing, visually fantastic, great music, just a perfect introduction to this very wacky movie. Then he sees this small man who says, come again, and he's in some kind of laboratory where people try to analyze his condition. And of course, it all comes together, like the cult leader, the space traveler, and the killer, and it all escalates in some way or form, as his fingership was, by the way, inspired by by Tekkon Kinkreed, the anime, and Shinji Higuchi worked as a kind of advisor for staff and locations and stuff. Things. So, pretty good. And with all this pinky stuff, like I said, for Toyoda, it's just a funny thing. And he was like, wouldn't it be funny if my pinky flew off and flew into space? Yeah. So it's good. It's good. Yeah. There's not that much to say about this movie. We get some fantastic, visually very, very pleasing scenes, like when we first get to this Chihara Jr. character. He has some ceremony where he burns some stuff, a lot with triangles and squares, and we get a nice shot from above, and it's just very pleasing for the eye. And what pleases my eye even more is that we don't rely on silly stuff like complementary colors. It's just a very beautiful, well designed movie. Every shot looks great. There's just one thing visually that completely made me go mad. One of the hard walking scene, Ryuhei Matsuda walks into the camera, and we can see that the buttons of his shirt, the buckle of his belt and the zipper of his pants don't line up. It's all like messed up and drives me crazy because you see him walking in slow-mo and this amazing music plays and it just doesn't line up. It's insanity. Absolute insanity. How can you miss that? Yeah. Anyway, so it is a wonderful movie. We have some jumps like in the past, into the past or whatever. We don't really know what's actually happening. We have one scene that happens in two different ways. We don't know which one is real. Both kind of make sense or not. We get jumps into the spaceship back to it's transcending dimensions. Holy cow. There's so much wacky stuff going on, but at the same time we get so many great characters who might not get explored all that detail, but it all makes sense. It all feels correct. It's like a big culmination of a lot of stuff that goes on or that went on for quite some time. So I guess if you actually watch the other movies, it makes maybe a little bit more sense. You don't need them, but it's just nice context. Like if you don't watch like this one, it doesn't matter for this movie. You just get a little bit different feeling for the character. Like for one of these side characters, it's not all that important. But it just feels like it's grounded in a bigger mythology. And it's kind of cool that he built all this up. And it's just many great little things that come together, and you can make your own image of what it's supposed to be or what it's not supposed to be. It's wonderful. Hello, here we are again with a little thing that I forgot. The song in the credits, a song by a band called Birthday. Toyoda said that song expresses some things that he wasn't able to express all that well in his movie, so he used it as a chance to put in some of the themes that were important for him, or more like one theme, and that's love. Cool. Love is a good theme. That's all I wanted to say. Like, pay attention to the lyrics in the song. Probably they're not, I don't know, maybe they're subtitled in the English version. We will find out when it comes out, or you see it at a festival. I will probably not see it until it comes out. So anyway, back to me. I had such a good time. The second time I had even more fun because then I could pay more attention to the details, what's going on where, and maybe I found one or two more connections between the stuff that's going on, but it doesn't really matter if you just watch it like a music video and just enjoy the imagery and the music. You will still be happy. Yeah, some people said at the festivals the English subtitles were kind of weird, so I watched it without subtitles. But I guess it still works out fine. It's just a wonderful experience, and I'm just happy that something like that gets made. For me, it's like the second experience of like this year. The other one was the Oliver Dog, which is kind of similar and kind of completely different in a very silly way. But they make a good double feature if you want to freak out your friends with funny, weird-ass movies. That's a good combination. I should try that someday when they're both available for home consumption. That's gonna be good. But yeah, if you have any chance to watch this movie, it will come sooner or later. I mean, the movie starts with the Third Window Films logo, so I guess that guarantees release in the West, and you should definitely give it a try. I'm sure it plays more festivals and stuff, so it won't be difficult to see. I'm very, very sure. And yeah, when you get the chance, finally, you should watch it because it's absolutely fantastic. Toshiaki Toyoda is probably one of the best Japanese directors or directors in general in recent years. Like I said, I hope he still has more stuff to do and more stuff to say, and this talk of, oh, this could be my last movie, was just because at that moment maybe he felt a little bit empty, like I did everything I wanted to do or something like that. No, please do more. Give us more interesting experiences would be lovely. So yeah, like I said, if you have any chance to watch this movie or any other Toshiaki Toyoda movie, do it, give it a try. He's a fantastic director and deserves way more attention. I know, of course, for people who like Japanese movies, he's not a new discovery. Like I said, he was a relatively big part of this like early 2000s wave of directors who actually made it to the West and got quite some fame, at least in certain circles. And so yeah, he's far from a secret, like a hidden gem. No, far from that. But I think a lot of people haven't seen that many of his movies, so maybe it's a good chance to catch up and yeah, just watch what you can find and enjoy it. And I think that's all I have to say for today. Yeah, make your own story and be happy. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.